This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Learn more at richardcarr.com.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda with me, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Did Brigham Young help in Ames?
I think so. I think, I would love to say that that we didn't need it, but it does appear that helped us. I think sometimes young people, and I'm looking at my processes too and things that I could do better, that it certainly helped going through it. Is better understood than just talking about it.
The eyes that you mentioned after Brigham Young, did you even sense that in Ames?
No. Yeah, none of it. Mm-mm.
You have a football team that knows how to win, expects to win. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that from them day in and day out with the process, the culture, the words that are used?
I do. I think some of the disconnect, if I could use that word, and maybe that's too strong of a word, but I think some of the issues that we've been working through is just the youth of the team, right? Some of the older veteran players communicating standards and expectations, some of the younger players, kind of how that looks, how the youth of the team is going to look at, a success. And is everything always going to, if you put in the work, is it always going to look like that? How to handle success, right? A loss, how to handle a loss, right? How to get back if you get knocked down, to get back up. Like, what does that look like? And there's just so many kind of layers prior to even you get to the surface and the things that everybody around sees. There's so many things that are down below that are really kind of foundational things, and that really, as you talk about, a lot of times people just kind of gloss over because they're not really connecting it to experience. So the experience is really the greatest teacher, and so there's a fair amount of all of that going on daily.
How do you keep a team from playing the game on Wednesday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think you try to have a build up to the week. You try to emphasize the little things over the big things, and you try to build it to continually kind of push to where this is an inside out process. So we talked about last week the Buffalo Bills, and they played Monday night game, mm-hmm. and Coach Mar Levy was there, and where else would you rather be than right here, right now? And so I talked about him as a coach and some of his accomplishments, and then I showed a little quick video that kind of highlighted him. And then we showed I think there's some guy with his phone had it down on the ground when Jim Kelly introduced him, and he kind of comes up and then he says what he says, and the whole crowd just comes alive. And so just the ability, man, to transcend all the technique and scheme, and to when you are authentically you, and you're not trying to be anybody else, and he's doing Shakespeare and reading poetry to his team, and he's doing all of that. And I'm talking about this for the players more, for us as coaches, but then you can handle the vulnerability part good too. So it's like you're in a big stage and you lose, but you lose as a human. You don't lose as a blaming, shaming, all this other thing. That when you go through that, right, here's what's possible, just the connection you can make with just a whole community when that chant was going on. And so we have something I've showed the team quite a bit of, like the wins, the losses, the praise, the criticism, right? The rehab, the betrayals, all of it. And so I look at his face, here's a guy that's been through all of that. And this is how you win in all of that. And this is how you become in all of that. And so I think we try to get our emphasis on that. And so that is not trying to win this game. That is not trying to, get this ranking. That is not trying to win this spot in these 4 teams. I think if we keep it on the other example, I think those other things will come.
Not many freshmen play college football at pretty much any level, but you have to have trust in them too. Richard Reese has gained your trust. He was brought up during the presser as well. Is it easier for a skill position player as a freshman to play than anywhere else?
Probably so. Yeah, it's a good question. I think anything with the line of scrimmage, there's such a difference in strength and maturity, and I think skill-wise, where there still needs to be great execution. I think a lot of times there's enough space for the athleticism to make it right, where I think line of scrimmage-wise, the room for error is so reduced because of the close quarters, and the need for strength is so emphasized. It's easier for skill guys.
Lemire, Aranda Snacks, Devin Neal, a lot of younger players seem to make plays, and it doesn't mean they haven't before. Is that the growth of the program from like a grass growing during the early spring into the summer?
Yeah, I think their confidence is increasing, and I think they're playing hard and they're practicing well. And you look at the weeks the last week that those guys had was their best week, and then they come out and play well, and so it's really cool to see, and we'd like to build on that.
The SEC has elite teams, and probably more than any other conference. But it does appear as if the Big 12 from top to bottom is very deep. And that doesn't mean just this year because of teams that won or didn't win. Do you feel that in this conference?
I do. I think I know there's great coaches. I know there's great culture in our conference. And I think there's a great connection with the team. And so it's not an outfit with maybe a group of really freakish athletes doing this or doing that. And while we do have great athletes, it's not that. It's more of teams winning as a team. And I think that's why you have so many games that are just down to the wire, because they continue to fight, and they can, there's a belief in their brothers to their left and right. And so I think that will make for some entertaining games. That'll make for a lot of nail-biting games.
You mentioned Bryson Jackson has gained confidence. Is he now someone you play him not just on passing downs, you just want to find a way to get him on the field?
Yeah, so I mean his motor never stops. So we track, the 20 miles per hour, and he is one of the top guys in that. I think he is the top guy that consistently runs that in practice, in games. I mean, his motor never stops, and so the more that we play him, the better we are.
One more thing on the transfer portal. You guys look at wide receivers. Did you actually ever look at that because of the youth of your position coming back?
I remember that we talked about it, and then the thought just became, we've got guys here that maybe have been injured or maybe have been, in 2019 had this role, or in 2020 even had another role, and now in 22, we're looking at them, or they're not even being talked about. And so the discussion was, if we pour our heart and soul into our team, into these guys, right? They have the ability. It's just dormant there. If we bring this, if we do everything we can to not count and to not hold judgment, but to bring this guy back to life, there's your transfer portal guy right there, And so, yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to do.
Every time someone asks you a question, almost every time, whether it's me at a presser, you say, that's a good question, or thanks for the question. Where did you learn that?
I don't know. I think the questions that make me think, that really get to I don't know. I probably say that selfishly, be honest, because they're things that I'm thinking about too. And so that might be bad on my part. But I think the questions that really kind of get to the point of kind of where it's all at, I think, are they're good to answer. They help me.
Your last thing, emotions of what you are on the sideline. You're so stoic at times. What was it, the emotion that led to you just unleashing and having fun with your assistant coaches with got all the attention the butt slap?
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting one when I walk out, by the way.
No, I know. I'm sure this is the beginning. So I just think it's always been like that. I don't know how that really started. I think when you're around our strength coaches, it kind of just naturally has to kind of be that, I think. But the energy in the pit when we're in, so the special teams unit's going to come out, it will get to that. It will get to, if they would have stayed on us or on the pit after that continued after I left with just all throughout. And so I just think it's a way cool energy, and I think I enjoyed it. I feel like that part of my life has to die now.
No. I think a lot of people loved it. Dave, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Baylor head coach Dave Aranda, 365 Sports.
And if in fact you didn't hear that part of it,